Hey guys, last time I did the 1x2x3 and triangular domino. This time we're going to start with the spherical mechanism, and I'm going to do a pentagonal prism instead of the classic Rubik's Cube because the pentagonal prism is slightly more interesting. So first of all, I'm going to start with a 45mm edge length. So just before I start, I just want to say I'm gonna speed through this. I'm only going to show you the mechanism itself, and then speed design the puzzle. You can still follow the whole design tutorial. It's going to be relatively interesting, I hope. But if you want to skip through that, it's fine as well. Don't hesitate to go check out just the assembly and the stickering and stuff. So let's go. So the pentagonal prism is something I want to do with regular, 3x3 looking faces. So I'm making square faces, which sounds like a good idea. And now I'm going to make a sketch, and that's for the lateral cuts. So the lateral cuts will spin around this axis right there. This is the face I want to spin. So I'm starting by creating a few concentric circles like I usually do when designing my mechanisms. I don't know exactly how many I'll need. I'll just put 5 for now. It should suffice. And I'm gonna split them apart by 3mm every time. Oh, well, maybe 3mm for the first one, 2mm for the second one. Actually, reverse that because 3mm is the VMech, and then 2mm here and 2 more millimeters there. I'm designing this using SLS guidelines, but I think they're as good as SLS, like for FDM puzzles. So it's fine. Okay, so let's start this. So first of all, I chose 45mm faces. But I want to split the faces in 3 parts. There's an easy way to do this. You create 3 segments, and you make them go from one end of the face to the other end of the face, and you press equal, and they're going to make 3 equal segments that you're going to use as construction parts. And now this is going to go through this little point here, and this line is basically cutting the face at 1/3 of the full length. That's quite useful. I like this method because it's actually quite fast. Okay, so now I've got this. What I'm going to do, the first cut is, well, the thing is, this face is actually going to be hooked into the center, which is on this side, and not on this side, obviously. So the hook should go towards the center, but it's a V mechanism, which means we're going to make a layer going outwards and then move back inwards. So let's see. There you go. Notice how sometimes I'm using right click. I'm staying put on the right click and moving left to get a line. This just makes designing faster. And well, I don't know which one to do for the arc, but the arc is going to go all the way here, and that's because the surface is going to revolve around here. If you don't understand, it's because you probably haven't watched the previous tutorials. This is a whole series of puzzle A to Z's where I design the puzzle, show the assembly, everything, how I design the stickers and stuff, so feel free to follow the whole thing or just your favorite parts. So the VMech is going to be, say, 2mm out, and then the mechanism part is going to be 4mm thick. That's going to be more than enough to support the whole puzzle. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that's good. I want at least 2mm here sticking out just to get enough space for fillets and stuff. So yeah, let's say 2.5. So this is my mechanism. I'm going to revolve it around this, and now the surface is going to look something like this. Where here you see the VMech of the center that should be here. It goes downwards, then goes outwards and back inwards. I'll explain this in a few minutes. I'm just going to copy that around the puzzle. Let's say like this circular pattern, and copy 5 times. Okay, 72 degrees is what I'm looking for, and I'm going to make 5 of those, and this is what the first cuts look like. If you see, okay, when you're hiding the body, you see that the cuts intersect. Here, it's going to be the space that you have for the mechanism of the corners and the edge. So that's just fine. Also, something that's relatively important is that these cutting axes, well, these sort of these concentric circles, they start out at 22.5 diameter, and the VMech starts at 20.5. The reason why it's important is because now I'm going to create another cutting plane, but this time for the layers that you're going to see here and there, the sort of z-axis layers. So now I'm going to pick any of those other planes, this one for example, and I'm going to create those same circles right there, 22.5 and 20.5. I think I had 5 circles. So the first one is going to be tangent to this line, and it's going to be 22.5. Second one is going to be 20.5. The reason why this is important is because we're going to be using this for the 3x3 mechanism. That way it's on the same level as the outer side's 3x3 mechanism. Basically, I want the mechanism of the z-axis to be the same as the xy axes. So now, same as before, I'm going to select and make a line split into 3 sections, which are for construction and equal, and I'm going to make a line that goes through it, and that's intersecting this one. And then I'm going to stop here and create another VMech. Just like before, you go backwards, then you go down for the mechanism, and then you go back inwards, and you create a line. When I say inwards, I mean towards the center of that face. So basically, when this face is turning, it's being held in by this center here. Well, this is going to be a center, but for now, it's not. So this is where you want your hook to go inwards. And finally, I'm pretty sure that's it. I have one going backwards, back in, and now all I need to do is a line here that's going to be an axis. Now I do want to make the same thing as I did last time, 2 millimeters for the VMech going out, and 4 millimeters for the VMech going in, and that's going to be more than enough. So now if you see what I just did, I'm going to surface revolve this, and that way I get the cutting plane. And normally, if all goes well, and I create the symmetry of that cutting plane, I'm going to get the other side, so I'm going to mirror that. And I am going to show the other surfaces to see if we have intersecting corners. Now you see there's one issue that you see here. You've got space for the edge right there. You've got like a gap. Here you've got a gap as well. But on the corners, the gap is so small that the corner stock is going to be very, very thin. So the thing is, here it's going to be existent. So I'm going to do it just to show you, just so you can relate to this this little part of the design. So I'm going to split my puzzle right now, and normally I should have about 30 parts, so I'm going to click them manually this time. Last time I did it using some sort of software called Split Helper. You can find it on the Twisty Puzzles forum, or I'm going to put a link in the description if I don't forget. If I do, please remind me to do so. Alright, so I've got all of this. There are more parts than I expected, about 60 maybe, and I only have a few left to click, 63 parts. Okay. Oh, damn it, that's because it started splitting my cutting planes, which is completely useless. That's strange. That's very surprising, to be honest. Yeah, target bodies. I only want this target body right there. And this is going to cut it. So that's quite strange. I don't even know why that happened, but I'm going to have to click again and start over. Well, not start over, but not far from starting over. Okay, so... this is such a long process. I should have used Split Helper. As you can see, 33 parts only. Now that's much more realistic. Alright, so now this is what we have. Looks pretty cool. So I'm going to save one of each piece, but first I want to show you that corner stock I was talking about. It's extremely thin, so obviously this is not going to be an option. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simplify this by editing the sketch. Now first of all, my 2.5 limit, I'm going to reduce it to 1.5, and the VMech is going to be reduced to 1 and 4 on this side. And I'm also going to reduce the VMech on the 3x3, on the z-axis, sorry. And I'm going to put 4 millimeters is fine. I'm just going to put it down to 1 here. And what that's going to do is, it's going to make the corner stock much, much bigger. I'm going to show you first with the surface bodies. As you can see, the intersection, you see a lot of space for the corner. That's the corner stalks space there. So you've got quite a lot of space. And if I show you on the parts this time, so I'm going to delete one of each part as I always do when I'm designing a puzzle. I'm going to just keep one unique piece of each type. Alright, keep bodies. And now I can show them, and you will see the corner stock right there, which is much thicker than it was before. But it's still relatively thin for FDM printing. I'm still going to try it out because, after all, the whole point of this series is to see just how far we can go with FDM and also show you how I design puzzles. 4mm sounds just fine. Or at least I think it does, because I'm used to 4mm being more than enough. So let's begin the tolerances. Now you see the edge has a little bit of VMAC here, so here I'm going to remove a bit of that face. I'm going to remove 0.7mm, and now I'm ready to add, actually no, I'm going to also remove 0.001mm of that face. For those who don't know why, I did explain it in a video. SolidWorks has trouble managing these edges, those that intersect from two spheres. It's quite difficult for the software to recognize just what part of where the fillet should go. So now I'm going to round the edges off at 1.5mm. Now, just a small detail, this puzzle isn't that big. I chose a challenging puzzle for FDM printing, that was the intent. So yeah, I'm going to try it anyways. This is pretty big for I mean, these fillets are pretty big for a puzzle this size, because I chose to make this puzzle 45mm to an edge, which is actually not that big. Yeah, it's going to be quite small. So let's still try it. So first I'm going to do all of those fillets right there. So this is as I do it all the time. I recommend you skip if you've seen these parts already. If you're just watching this to see just how it goes from A to Z, then I'm happy you have the patience to listen to me that long. Although I know I wouldn't, so feel free to skip. Alright, so now I've got 0.7mm fillets on those sides, maybe 0.5 because that seems very thin. Okay, same here, same there, and all that's left are these fillets right there. All convex edges should be filleted this. So now I have no more convex edges. And this is my part. So this is one part down, got a lot more to go. I'll print it in that orientation, that way there's going to be support here, and that's it. Hopefully that means I can print it using only SLA material. I had a bit of a hesitation there. Okay, now I'm going to do the same with the corner. Let's say 1mm fillets. Now that seems like way too big because I still want this to be sturdy. So I'm going to put 0.5mm, and then on this one I'm going to put 1.5. Or, yeah, 1.5 seems nice. Okay, and 1.5 everywhere around. Although I do have a doubt. Did I use 1.5 for the edge? No, I used 1. Okay, so I'm going to reduce this to 1. Okay, so now my corner should be done. Nope, I forgot one little thing here. Sorry about the noise in the background. My palette is running. I've been having a few issues with the palette recently, but hopefully these are going to be fixed soon. The thing is, the palette is actually messing up my prints because, you know, I don't know. It's not even like a color problem. It's more like a software problem with with Canvas, which is their splicer. It's well, their slicer. Sorry. I don't know. It's just not optimized. I think not as much as I'd like it to be. Cura helps me print with so much ease, and yet with Canvas it just doesn't work that well. It still works. I mean, it's just not as good, and it fails a lot of my prints because I tend to do complicated puzzles. So, you know, it's kind of my fault, but just a limited amount of my fault. Anyways, the center is on its way. As you can see, there's the VMech here. It's a very small VMech in the sense that it doesn't go out too much. It's still going to stabilize the puzzle quite nicely, I think. And now I just have to finish off the top face to get that Pentagonal Prism look. Alright, now I have to do the core as well. I'm just going to add the tolerances, and before doing the rest of the core, I will make sure to finish the centers, because the centers need a cap, and I don't have one yet. So, let's finish that core. Moving the faces by 0.5 millimeters. Actually, no, 0.7 is fine, or actually, you know what, I'm going to use 1 full millimeter, because this is MDM printing, is not as precise as I'd like it to be. So, now let's do this. Let's create a center cap. I'm going to revolve just a line around this axis right there, a line that's going to cut the cap off, and the cap, I'm going to want it to be, I don't know, like 1.5 millimeters thick. I mean, that should do it. That should do the trick. There you go. Let's just say 2 millimeters. Actually, no, 1.5 is good. So 1.5 millimeter cap, and now I can revolve it, and I get like this sort of cutting plane that's actually planar and not just like a conical cut or anything like I showed you earlier with the puzzle cuts. This is just a very simple cutting plane. Now I'm going to isolate the center cap, and I'm going to add something that is pretty cool, which is just, you know, the sort of shape inside to make sure that the whole thing works. Now it's offset by 5 millimeters, and I'm going to offset it again by 2 millimeters, and then I'm going to extrude this. So this is going to be my center cap. 2 millimeters. Alright, this is my center cap, and this is finished. But now what I have to do is I'm going to select that face, create a new sketch, and this time I'm going to offset this by 0.1, and offset this one in the other direction by 0.1. Now the reason why I'm doing this, actually I don't need this second one. The reason why I'm doing this first outer sort of perimeter is because I'm going to want to remove this material from the opposite part, which is the center. That way the cap has somewhere to go. So I'm going to do a cut, and I'm going to cut it by 2.5 millimeters, and that should do the trick. Alright, so now this is what I got. So I've got a center cap going into the center. If you want to see transparency, this is what it looks like inside. So you've got, I put a little bit of tolerancing here and there. That's just fine. Alright, so next step. So this can be hidden, it's all done. Now I need to do the screw holes, as I always do. 7.5, actually 8 millimeters is fine. Now I don't want to cut too deep. 2 millimeters is going to do it. I don't really need more. I just need the center, the screw head to be in there to align the piece when I'm assembling the puzzle. And then I want a hole for the screw to pass in, so 3.5 millimeters, because I'm using M3 screws, and I'm going to do up to next, so that I'm just piercing the center but not the core. For the core, I'm going to need to use a diameter of 2.9. On SLS puzzles I use 2.7, but now I'm using 2.9 because it's MDM, and I'm going to extrude it 15 millimeters. Okay, that's a bit too deep. I don't want it to reach the center, so I'm going to do 12. And press enter. And then I'm going to make a symmetry of that hole that I just made, so I'm going to mirror this feature right there. Actually, I can even go backwards, because I'm going to add this chamfer right there, a 0.3 millimeter chamfer with an 80-degree angle right there for the screw insertion to be nicer. And once I go back, when I roll forward, I'm going to be able to copy this feature as well. So on the other side, I have the same exact thing. The only issue is that this chamfer wasn't well made, so I'm actually gonna do it as a separate function. One of them was made in that direction, the other one in that direction, which is not what I wanted, so that's unfortunate, but it happens. Okay, so now I've got my holes, I've got my chamfers, and all I need to do is the same thing, the same exact thing on all the sides. So I'm going to pick a side randomly, make sure I'm in front of a center. So for example, here I've got an edge, which means on the other side, well, technically, no, that's not true. Here, you see on one side I have this corner, and here on the other side it means I have a center. So here I'm next to an edge, there are two centers. I know that here there's supposed to be a screw hole. Technically I could do it anywhere, so what I just said is pretty useless. Anyways, 2.9 millimeters, as I said, extruded by... I'm actually going to do an offset from the center, start the extrusion 3 millimeters out in that direction, and then just get the hole out of the puzzle. And I'm going to add a chamfer as well, just like earlier. And once that is done, I'm going to do a circular pattern where I'm going to copy the chamfer and the hole around this axis 5 times and at 72 degrees. And as you can see, this is complete, so my core is complete as well. Now it means that all my parts are ready to be printed, and I will just need to put them on Cura and get this thing printed. So I'm actually going to do this now. So this part here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove them one by one. Delete this, delete this, delete this, delete this. Okay. I'm going quite fast because it's just, you know, deleting file after file. And I'm going to save this as 2.stl. That's so I know that I need to print 2 of them. Then I've got the center, I also need 2 of those. So I'm going to print it as b2.stl. Then I've got this edge, and I need to make 10 of those. So I'm going to call it 10. I know, very original name. Whoops. Alright, now I need to do the corners. Luckily for me, I've also got 10 of those, so I'm going to do b10. Alright, and then I'm going to do a little 1 because I've got the core as well that I want to print. And STL, save as 1.stl. Now there is one final thing I'm going to do, so I'm not going to save it. There's one final thing I want to do, and that is to... Actually, no, never mind. I was going to say to put a conical end at the end of the hole so that it doesn't print it with support, but I can deactivate the support, so that's what I'm going to do. So I am indeed going to save this core as 1.stl. And now that's done. Now there is one final step on the CAD software, and that is creating a sticker template. So I'm going to offset the face, so create a sketch on that face, offset the entities, reverse the direction, and move it away by 0.5 millimeters. And I hate the fact that there are already fillets here. That's not something I want. So what I can do is offset the entities, reverse. You know what? I'm just going to leave it like that. Do the same here, except here I don't have those fillets here. What I can do, which is maybe slightly easier, is I'm just going to offset this line right here, which is technically part of the face. Whoa, that is weird. Okay, this is the line that I'm looking for. So I'm going to offset this, reverse, and I'm going to do a circular sketch pattern where I'm going to repeat it 5 times. And I'm going to fuse this, and that's quite strange. Okay, and I'm going to do this so that it is centered around the center of the face. And now I've got a pentagonal face. Now all that's left to do is create fillets. I'm going to choose 1 millimeter and do them all like that. Actually, I have a preference for something different. I'm going to use 1 millimeter for the those almost right angles, 1.5. Okay, I'm also going to use 1 millimeter this time for these angles right there because they're quite sharp. And I'm going to use, whoops, where did that one come from? And I'm going to use 2 millimeters for the bigger angles like these. Okay, and now I've got a sticker template. I just need one last one. I need to do the sides. Oh, I forgot the center. That sucks. I completely forgot about the center. There is one thing that I should not have removed. I deleted the center, but I shouldn't have. Well, that's a shame. I'm gonna have to do that one too. That's not something I wanted to do right now. I hate doing centers, honestly. Like, it's always the same thing. You gotta create screw holes, you gotta create caps, and the caps are always the same. I feel you if you want to skip. Like, this is completely normal. I wouldn't even watch my own videos when I do these things, but I know some of you like seeing how I design stuff, so. But I sympathize with you because this video is quite long. It's probably going to be longer than expected. Alright, so the cap is going to be 1.5 millimeters as well, just like I did for the top face cap. And again, I'm going to revolve this. Whoa, what was that? That is not normal. Ah, I see. The thing is, I chose this plane here, but I technically chose the wrong center. Because that's just going to make things more complicated. I'm going to use the center that is actually being split by a face, well, a plane that already exists. This one in particular. That way it's easier to cut. Okay, so now I can just do this and create a line that's horizontal. That way I can create the cap. Alright. Now I just need a surface revolve function. And I need to split this this body with the surface that I created, and all that's left is my cap and everything. Now there is one thing that I do want to do. I actually didn't do things in the right order. I should have done the printing preparation first. It's just easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that now. I'm going to move those faces right there by 0.7 millimeters. By the way, I'm scared that I may have forgotten this on the big part, the centerpiece. So I'm just going to check that real quick. Yeah, as you can see, I have forgotten to put tolerances on this top face right there. So I'm going to try to look for when I did the fillets, move back to that moment in the construction. That's a really cool thing, that you can move back to what you did earlier. That way, if you made mistakes, you can just fix them and go back forward. You know, it's just so much easier. But that's something that only SolidWorks can bring you. It's actually quite nice. That's why it's my favorite software. I have like no other software I would choose over this. This software is just absolutely incredible. Alright, so now I'm going to do the same thing as I always do. I'm going to add fillets, rounds, whatever you want to call them, and this on all the faces that are interesting to me. So this one, these edges right there, these edges right there, and then I will add the final fillet, which is the 0.5 or 0.7 millimeter fillet right there, on any convex edge I can find. So as you can see, there are no more convex edges if all went according to plan. There's just one missing here, but that's just a mistake on my part. There you go. Okay. So now we have our center, and we need to make a cap. So we're going to do that again, go forward. There's just one little error in that sketch, which I'm going to fix right now. It didn't detect that face because I did a few modifications on the center right there. Okay, this here, same thing, didn't recognize the face. Alright, now we're all good. So now that that's done, I have this piece right here that's ready to have a cap. So I'm going to select it, isolate that cap, and do the same thing as I did earlier, which is an offset of about, say, 1 millimeter. I guess that should do the trick. 1.5 is nicer. And then take that and offset it again by 2 millimeters, or 1.5 again. Sounds good. I'm going to extrude this by 2 millimeters, merge the results, then create a new sketch as I did before, where I pick this face and offset it by 0.2 or 0.1 millimeters, well, 0.1 millimeter. And now I can exit the isolate function, select the center only and show only that center, like that. Isolate, and then I'm going to select the face and extrude 2.5 millimeters in there so that I can put my screw hole and everything. So now that that's done, just got to do this, put a screw hole at a 7 or 8 millimeter diameter, cut this one by 2 millimeters just like before. It's quite repetitive, but it's actually quite intuitive. So you just have to make a screw go in there, so you just gotta make the holes for the screw, and that's it. Now same thing, I'm gonna use a 3.5 millimeter diameter and go all the way to the end, which is here. Now the good thing is I'm probably not gonna have much trouble printing this. It looks quite straightforward, it's not gonna be very complicated, so that's good. Now all my parts are prepped for printing. I just need one tiny thing more, and that is to create a circular pattern of this edge right here over here, so that I can make the sticker pattern for the side face. Alright, so again, as always, offset by 0.3 or something, 0.5 is fine. Same here, offsets by 0.5, and same here, offsets by 0.5. But normally, these faces are all the same because it's supposed to look like a 3x3. So I'm just gonna put add 1.5 millimeter fillets. Sorry, and now we're good. Okay, so I can hide everything that I've made. I just want to save. You know what? I'm gonna save it in this situation. And that's the last time I'm going to save it. Now I delete everything that I've created. Alright. And I only keep the sketches. That way I can create the sticker templates. Like this. And create the side sticker template as well, using this. Okay. So I'm pretty sure we're good. I've got the axis here. I can create another axis here considering the two planes cut the center. So this is going to be the axis going through the center. And all I have to do now is to revolve these parts around that axis 4 times because they're identical. So this is going to be my, actually they're not perfectly identical. So technically, well, yeah, technically it's not entirely the way to go. Oh, I know why. Oh, I am such an idiot. I can't believe this. It's like the second time in this video alone that I forget a piece. It's crazy. Okay, I'm gonna try again. I forgot this piece here. I promise you this is the last one. This is really the last one. This is catastrophic, like, oh wow. Okay, go backwards, and I forgot this, so I'm just gonna prepare that piece for printing as well. You see, it's easy to make mistakes when you're designing puzzles because it's repetitive, and that's what makes it hard. Just like the other edge, I'm gonna have to add a very small tolerance on this face here because, you know, it doesn't, you know, it has trouble with those spherical intersection edges, as I like to call them. Now I just have to add fillets again let's say 1 millimeter everywhere around here. Okay. Right there. On this side. These edges right there. These ones as well. Well, that is one long process. Okay, and now that that's done, well, you know what I have to do? It's those small edges right there, 0.5 millimeters. Well, technically every single convex edge that is left, which is here. And that's all I have to do. Okay, so I've got my last piece done, finally. And now I need to add something to the sketch that I had earlier. So I am going to go back to this step just to save my file. Back to this step right here. Okay, perfect. And go back forward. Now there's one thing I forgot in the last part right there, and it's this sticker right here. This is why it wasn't very homogeneous. I don't understand why I'm having this issue right there. This sketch is actually old, so it happened before I put the fillets. Sometimes these weird things happen. Okay, so let's go back to this step right here. Alright. Sorry, I had to pause there for a minute. So yeah, so let's go back to it. There's just these sketches that I have to extrude now. So I'm gonna take these 3, then these 4, and the rest is actually gonna be quite easy because mostly it's creating symmetries like this one, for example. I'm gonna mirror these bodies right there. And the second one, for example, is this one where I have to mirror the 3 top ones like this, like so. Alright. Doesn't seem to be willing to click on the face I'm selecting, which is this one. Okay. And the last one is a revolution because I have to create these parts in 5 copies. So I'm going to do this right now. 72 degrees, 5 copies. And there we go. So now all that's left is to put everything on the same in the same orientation. So basically I want the top face to be the top face for every single sticker template. So these stickers right there, I'm gonna rotate them by 90 degrees. Sorry, was it the x-axis? Yeah. So that they're in the same orientation as the top face right there. And then I'm gonna move them a bit so that they are way back. Whoops, not a rotation. Translation on the y-axis. Okay, and now you can see that from the top it looks like this, which is exactly what I want. So I'm going to create a drawing from the part with a custom sheet size of A4, and I'm going to use this as a reference and create dimensions just to make sure that I have the right scale in the sticker cutting software. And now, so same thing on this side, and now save this as a DXF. And when that's done, click. Alright, when that's done I'm not going to save, and I'm going to leave without saving. So normally if I go back into the file, I'll have something along those lines, so which is what I want because I have all the unique parts. Technically I have all and 1 extra, but I don't really care because now I have everything I need to print everything. So now I'm going to go to my MDM files, and I'm going to go to Pentagonal Prism. Now I've got all these files, which I'm going to copy right there, and I'm going to put them in the right orientation, which means here, for example, I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees on the y-axis so that it's flat on the bottom face. This one as well, I prefer having it in this orientation for the print. This one, same thing, I want it to be like that. This one is going to be the same, I want this face to be on the bottom. And I'm pretty sure there's not much left. There is one, oh, I am missing a few files. I am missing the centers, and I forgot to export those, so I have to do this real quick. I'm gonna delete the bodies like this. Okay, and all that's left is, alright, I've got these. Okay, so I'm gonna remove this just like I did earlier, but I want to keep these 3 files now. So I'm going to delete the first one, delete the second one, delete the third, and then I'm going to keep the first one, save it as 5.stl because I have to have it 5 times. Okay, then I'm going to keep the second one, and this one I'm going to need it 5 times again, so I'm going to have to save it as B5. Okay, and the third one is going to be C5. Alright, save as C5. Okay, and now I have no need to save the changes, I don't really care. And I do need my 5 files. Bring them in there. This one's going to be flat on the build plate, so 90 degrees. This one's going to be the same. I want it to be flat on the build face, but I can't see anything with those parameters right there. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Oh yeah, never mind. Okay. So I gotta turn it to 90 degrees. So I've got my centers. That's fine. I got this center, a pentagonal edge. I got this side edge and the corner. So the corner, I'm gonna multiply its number of copies 10. Okay. This, I'm going to multiply by 5. This, I'm going to multiply it by 10. I don't even know if that's going to fit at all. This should be put flat on the build plate and multiplied by 5. I'm going to need to multiply this one by 2. And multiply this one by 2 as well. Now I think this might be slightly too big for the build plate. I honestly don't know. So let's see, if I go from the top, I can bring this one here. Whoops, move it that way. There we go. It's going to be a big challenge to get everything in. So I'm probably going to skip that if I remember. In case I don't remember, I'm just going to keep talking. Put this here. I think I'm actually going to manage. It shouldn't be too difficult. Just need to move this one a little bit. It's lagging like crazy, which is quite strange considering it's not like it's a software that would need a lot of resources, and I do have like a crazy graphics card and a crazy memory and stuff. I basically souped up my computer like crazy, so I don't know why it's lagging so much. Alright, so I've got this that I can move backwards a little bit. Now I've got this this center cap here that I don't know why, but it doesn't fit. Now this pentagonal center, this one's going to be hard to fit, I think. Or, if I'm lucky, and I think I am, it might be easier than expected. Okay, I've got this. Okay, so that fits. The only issue I can see right now is these final parts. So I've got this pentagonal center right there. It's like a really difficult game of Tetris. But I think I've got this. I've got this center right here that I'm going to move around just to get it in the right place. Say here. Move this piece just slightly to the left. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get this right. Okay. And this piece is going to go all the way down there. And normally, if all goes according to plan, that is going to allow me, to also print the piece that you see on the right of the screen. But first I do want to move this out of the way just to be sure. And now I'm going to move this and bring it all the way to the place where I was thinking of putting it, which is about here. And I'm going to move it up all the way here, not too high. And it doesn't seem like anything is touching, so yeah, that seems like it's printable. I'm still going to move that one just a slight bit upwards. And now we're good. So this is going to be my print bed, and I think this is the last time I actually get a design that is small enough to fit on the whole build plate. After that, it's going to be way more difficult if I have designs with a lot of parts. So 8 hours and 0 minutes. I'm actually going to increase precision on this one, considering I'm printing with PLA fine, let's just say fine, because PLA is actually quite easy to print, so I'm going to print it with a finer quality. That way I get a better octolapse, a better time lapse, and a better quality for the parts. So yeah, now that it's slicing, all that I need to do is send it to the printer. Okay, granted that was not my best print. The thing is, I printed it a while ago when I didn't really care about the stringing, because technically it doesn't really have an effect on the quality of the parts. It just has an effect on the time it takes to remove the support and everything. And at the time I wasn't using Cura because I applied more of a priority on the time lapse than on the puzzle itself. So that's going to change in the future videos, but just this print was kind of dirty. So okay, let's start by assembling those centers. So I've got 7 screws here, that's what I'm going to need. I'm going to start with the centers, pentagonal centers, and then the side centers, and then I'm going to start assembling some parts. Okay, and now the last layer, and the rest was actually relatively easy to assemble. I really didn't have to do anything. It was much easier than I expected. I thought there would be more maybe sanding and adjusting and stuff like that, so that was a relatively nice nice second layer. Also, it feels like, no, I'm not missing a part, good. So I've got this last part right there to assemble, and then I'm going to put in the center, get it inside the VMech grooves of the other parts, and now I just need to assemble that last center. Just want to see, okay, the screw hole is there, so all I need to do is screw this in and it'll be over. So that's going to be relatively quick. Alright, because I don't have support in that hole. It was the hole that was on top, so it should be well printed with absolutely no difficulty whatsoever. And now we're in. Okay, so let's get a few turns on this. I mean, this is going to require breaking in, of course, but yeah, just a few turns are always nice at the beginning. Alright, cool. This is good. The only thing that for now still has me wondering how to manage this is I still have those sharp edges from the build plate, and I don't want to sand down my puzzles. I think I should find a solution that doesn't require me to do so. So I'm gonna try to find a way to ally chamfer and rounded edges to try and reduce or at least remove the need to sand down those sharp edges. I don't really know how I'm gonna do it yet, but I'm probably gonna work on that in the upcoming weeks. So let's loop this. It actually spins okay, still quite catchy in my opinion, and yeah, I definitely should have put more fillets on that. Anyways, alright, let's do this. It is clicky as hell though. Okay, so turning is okay, I guess. Yeah, it breaks in quite easily. That's nice. I think this is going to be a relatively good good quality puzzle. Let's see if I can feel free to contact Oliver if you want to get one of those. He's also going to be, I mean, it's just like all of my puzzles. If you want to buy a 3D printed puzzle of mine, you can just ask Oliver, and he will. He has the files for my puzzles. He has access, so he can just pick out the files and the STLs, and he can print it for you. We made an agreement, so feel free to ask him so he can add it to his website or just sell you the puzzle individually. Yeah, it's nice. All right, so. Yeah, breaking in seems fine. I'm just gonna adjust the tension of the top and bottom face now, and then I will have just one last thing to do. And, well, these are the stickers that I cut at the same time as I did for the triangular prism, which, by the way, I still haven't cut as I'm filming this video. So yeah, it's that is gonna be my next step. Since I haven't printed the puzzle after this one, now I can cut the stickers for all 3 of them, and hopefully maybe a 4th puzzle that I am going to print in, I don't know, well, the week after this one or something. Let's see, just for the caps, I'm not sure. I made good caps. Oh, well, I guess they're okay. I could have made them better because here, I'm noticing something. It's that they're sticking out. This one is okay, but this one is slightly sticking out. I mean, it's still reasonable though. Let's put these caps on as well. Alright, they're nice and tight. So yeah, I like this. It's just, I wasn't expecting them to work out so well. There's just this one that seems to be maybe a bit too tight. It was printed properly, so I don't know where the tightness is coming from. Hopefully if I... Oh, yeah, this one's difficult. So I'm gonna try to put it on another center. Maybe the center is at fault. Yep, I think it's the center, so I'm gonna check this out later. This one's fine, and this one's fine. Hopefully, I think it's gonna be the same problem. This is the only issue I have with FDM. Well, this is one of the issues I have with FDM. It's that it's not really repeatable. It's there's still like this fine layer of random that you still have. It makes designing more difficult because not every part is going to end up being the same unless you get lucky. But maybe that's also my fault. I don't know. I did print identical parts, and yet some aren't working, so, and the rest are. Maybe I should tweak the parameters or something. I printed it with the crude quality anyways. I put like 0.2 millimeters, I think, so maybe that's not playing in my favor. So I'm just gonna sand down those edges and see if it works better. Anyways, let's just cut those stickers. Alright, so there it is, the Pentagonal Prism. So it spins well, but it's very clicky sounding and it catches a little bit. Also, there's something I was a bit disappointed about. I noticed that for the most part, a lot of parts had distortions. For example, right there, you can see towards the bed, because that's where I printed it on. There's like this little profile that goes back up like this. Here, like a little bit of matter that's there that shouldn't be. And the thing is, this excess of material can be seen in multiple places, such as this one right there, where I don't know if you can see this properly, but you see it goes back up like that. And therefore there are many gaps, and that goes for the centers too, because they're way bigger than they should be. And that's a common problem I've had with FDM, where unless I put a chamfer to counter that effect, the first layer is thicker and therefore sort of creates that sort of draft. So that's unfortunate. But overall, the puzzle still turns quite well. It's just that I'm worried about the next one, because the next one's going to be very complicated. So yeah, it's, by the way, in the previous video I said that the next one would be complicated. I meant the one after this one. This one is actually quite easy, but it is the first time I use a V mechanism using an FDM printer on this channel, so that's a good enough result. So yeah, hopefully the next one's gonna be okay. But I hope you guys like this puzzle. I hope you guys like this video where I explain how I create these these puzzles. If you want some additional information that I didn't put in there, please let me know. If you have any comments, please let me know as well. And yeah, feel free to subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video, where I'll show you another puzzle or some other cool prints. See you guys next time.
Causing all kinds of trouble for lots of different